Hello and welcome again to Step Up, Make a Difference, the podcast. I'm Mike Peacock, along with my great friend, the elder statesman of our group, Marty Durden, Dr. Marty Durden, golf coach and entrepreneur and professor, and you name it, a lot of other things that we could call him. And joining us today is our great friend, Brian Osborne. We call him Ozzy, and Ozzy's with us. He's been with us before, and he is back as a return guest on Step Up. And Brian, Marty and I hope you're doing great.
Oh, absolutely. Having a blast up here at Community Christian up here in Stockbridge, Georgia, and really excited being on the podcast again.
We're glad to have you.
Brian, I understand that you won state in basketball. Is that true?
No, sir. We did not win state.
Came in second, maybe? Is that what it was?
No, sir. Our basketball team this year, unfortunately, something happened right before the season started, and I had to take over as the head basketball coach. And the past 4 seasons, communities won a combined 11 basketball games. And this year we won 13 and made it to the region tournament for the first time in several years. So we had a very successful season, but no, sir, we did not come close to the state championship this year. But it was very, very successful for community this year on the basketball court.
That's as good as a state championship any day.
Absolutely. I couldn't have been more proud of our guys. And we only have one senior, too, so they have everybody coming back. But fortunately, I'm very happy that I was able to hire Jamarcus West to be our new basketball coach next year. So able to turn the reins over to him, and very excited about that.
That's great. Well, you did a great job, man.
Well, Brian, getting back to our roots all together, the three of us were together at Calvary. You were at Calvary Christian in Columbus. How many years were you at Calvary?
I was at Calvary for 13 years.
13 years, and head football coach, started the program from scratch, brought it forward, won a state championship. That was in 2021. Is that right?
2020.
2020. Won the state championship in 2020, and very successful program. But as things happen, that run ended. You went over to Alabama and for a couple of seasons. And then again, as things happen in coaching, and this is an aspect we haven't talked about very much on this podcast, is sometimes the coaching world involves flux, and it involves unexpected things happening, and it involves sometimes a lot of emotions and a lot of different things that we go through as coaches, because situations change and situations arise. And these last few years, you've experienced that. I experienced it several times in my coaching career. Marty's experienced it in his coaching career many times. And I think a really good theme for us today is to kind of talk about some of that when we go through those things. And now you're at Community Christian in Stockbridge, right? That's the town. And you're in a little bit of a different role, but now, if I understand it correctly, you're returning to the sideline this year too, as well as being the athletic director. Is that correct?
That is correct. I will be back on the sideline with varsity football this season. Excited about that. We had spring practice, and we started our summer workouts last week. It was one of those, I was not anticipating it. I was interviewed several people for the football position, but nothing just worked out. And I mean, I still had an itch for coaching, and it's just running through my veins. And so I was talking to our headmaster, and both of us agreed that it would be best if I did take back over the program. We're going to be very young this year. We only have 2 seniors and 2 juniors. The rest will be freshmen and sophomores.
Wow.
But it's going to be a good building foundation for us as we build back for the future and try and get community back to the state championship level program that they were, because in late 2015s, 2016, and they won 4 state championships in a row. So, I mean, there's been history of athletic success, football success there, and it's our goal to get back to that standard.
Mm-hmm. I think you really, Brian, and me and Mike, we all were at Calvary, and we all left. We all left. It was uncomfortable. We left, and wondering, does God, where God wants us to go? Like a lot of coaches who are out there listening, you're in the same boat. The exact same thing happens over and over to coaches. Your jobs are all 1 year jobs. And so there we all three, went in together and had a great year. We won several state championships school-wide. You won a resounding state championship one night where our defense outscored the offense of the other team. It was a tremendous state championship, great year. And then, next thing you know, here we are, we're all looking for a job again and trusting God. And now, looking back, all three of us are in a much better place. God took care of us. So God didn't fire us. God repositioned us. And that's the way we got to look at it. God got us in a position where we could be more effective, more influential. And it's kind of neat to see because it happens so often in our world, in our profession, that coaches are repositioned. So if you're out there listening to this, don't fret, don't worry, just trust God. And that's the whole point of this. God wants us to follow Him. Would you agree, Brian?
Absolutely, and it's one of those I kind of got I guess it's a false sense of coaching too early on in my career because I was at Brookstone for my first 7 years and loved it there and really thought I'd retire from Brookstone. But I was going to Calvary Baptist Church at the time, and their head of school, Lynn McWilliams, came to me and said that we want to start a football program. I know you coach football. Would you be interested in coming over here and starting a team for us? It was one of those, prayed about it, and I met with them on Monday, and by that Friday I was hired, and it was really quick. And then I'm there at Calvary for 13 years. So I'm at one school for 7 years, another school for 13 years. And I'm talking to a bunch of other coaches, and they're a lot of I'm at a school for 1 or 2 years, moving here, moved 4 or 5 times during the time I was at Calvary. And I really didn't understand how that happens. But then unfortunately things happened at Calvary, and I did have to leave and go out to West Alabama to Southern Academy and to try to rebuild the program out there. Their football program. I was there for 2 years. And again, things kind of happen and move again. So moved my family 3 times in 2 years. And so that got my first sense of, okay, this is, I want to say the true coaching life, but this is what happens to, I feel like, a vast majority of coaches, and getting that in this possession and just seeing the toll that it takes on your family and all. And so it's one of those, like, if you can get to a place and stay there for a long time, I mean, that's my goal. I mean, my goal here is to finish my career at Community if I possibly can. But at the same time, like, I want to be where God wants me to be. And sitting there looking at my 2 years out in West Alabama and the lives that I got to impact while I was out there, because Southern Academy is not a Christian school. And Jesus was not talked about very much out there. The headmaster he was trying to incorporate Jesus out there, which is why he brought me in to try to do that with our athletic programs. And I was able to have a bunch of conversations with our guys that had no idea who Jesus was. And it was very fulfilling to be out there during that time. And I mean, I'm still in contact with those players today. They're reaching out to me. They were congratulating me when I got the job, when they announced I was going to be the head football coach at Community. They're still following me. I'm still talking to them and following them. But two, you never know at the time why something happens. And it's not normally until a year or two afterwards you're looking back and going, okay, that's why God had me at this place. And it's one of those, I'm looking back at Southern, I was like, why did he have me there at those times? And I was able to form some great relationships with these boys. But also, unfortunately, the worst possible thing happened that can happen in a high school football game during my time at Southern Academy when we're playing Morgan. And a freak accident happens. Their quarterback just hits the ground, kind of weird. He hops up, gets to their sideline, and just passes out. And later on that evening, he passes away. And just being there with our guys, because they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand the eternal that's happening with this. But they're able to have those conversations with those guys, with the people at the school, and to rally the football team. This was game 1 for our season. I mean, we still have 9 more games to go during the regular season, trying to get them back out there on the field and to continue to play this game. But it was just like, okay, God had me out here for this reason, for this time. And again, I didn't know when I was out there, but I feel like I said, like you've said too, like God has you at a place for a specific reason, and I think that's one of the reasons why He had me out there at that time.
It's amazing, Brian. And I guess God just teaches us things through hardship. I know personally, I'm a hard-headed Christian. You almost have to sometimes, as my dad used to say, you got to beat it in you, Marty. You just don't listen. And you could learn. So I could learn so many things. I think we all maybe are like that if we just listen better. But sometimes God teaches us these lessons, and they're permanent. And God just is always. I just feel like God's chiseling me.
Absolutely.
Always cutting off something that a dead limb, and so that the others will grow better, and just making me a better person. And it's just like when James says, "Count it all joy when you fall into hardship, because the trying of your faith works patience." And so I think sometimes that's what God's teaching us.
Absolutely. And too, like, I feel like He's not just teaching me, like He's teaching my entire family, because like my kids had to adjust to new environments twice in the last couple of years, and right now they're thriving. And like I said, I couldn't be more happy with this past year. I mean, all three of my kids, they pretty much made straight A's all year. Leanne's got 4-point-something GPA. She's about to be a senior next year. And it's just they really thrived this year, being back in a Christian school and a Christian environment. They're making friends and spending the night with people already. It's just been awesome. So we're watching how God worked in their lives over this past year and this move back to Georgia.
Yeah, it's a situation, and I've talked to you about this before, but my dad was a pastor, and several times during my life growing up, we moved away. Sometimes a pastor is a whole lot like being a coach. Something happens, and next thing you know, you're moving to another church, just like a coach moves to another school and another program. A pastor will move to another church because God's calling him away, and God's providing a door to open for that to happen. We don't always know why it happens. I
think you're on mute there.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Mike.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes you don't know why that happens. You don't know what occurs. You don't know what the situation is. Why are we going through this? And then you move to a new place and you thrive. Fortunately, I was able to do that every time we moved. The most painful one, of course, was when we moved in the middle of my junior year and went to another school that was, as a crow flies, only 12 miles away. And I could have commuted had we moved to one side of town, and I could have stayed where I was. But as God had plans and God had it, our church and our house was way far on the other side of that town, and it was too far of a commute. And so I had to switch schools in the middle of my junior year, and that was the hardest move I ever had to make. But when I got to that new school, I fell right into place with sports, with school. I had a good friend who just passed away from cancer earlier this year, but he found me the very first day I was there, and that guy really integrated me into that new environment, and I owe him a lot, because if he hadn't took me under his wing, so to speak, when I first got there, I would have been a little bit lonely and a little bit not knowing what to do. But he grabbed me up and he found me the first day I was there, and we made friends, and he showed me around. He introduced me to teachers. He introduced me to all the other guys on the teams. And next thing you know, within a month or so, it felt like home. And that was big. And I think that's important when you're a child going through that. And I don't know if either one of you experienced that growing up very much with moving around, but when you're a child going through that, it can be traumatic if your parents don't handle it the right way. And thank God I had parents who would always explain, look, the reason we're doing this is because this is where God wants us right now. And that for me, that was kind of all I needed. I had two older sisters. One of them got married before we moved away from the town we lived the longest. And then my next sister is 5 years older than me. She was out of high school when we moved, but she moved with us. She was still living at home, and it ended up being great for her. And I was the one that was still in school, and so I went through two moves while I was still in school. At the age where it really mattered. That move in the first grade didn't affect me too much, but moving in the eighth grade and then moving again in the 11th grade, those two were difficult and could have been, moving as a 13-year-old eighth grader, that can be traumatizing, depending on where you go, because middle school years are really formative and they're really tough anyway. And but I thank the Lord every day that I was able to acclimate. And we were talking about this earlier this week. I think when you're a coach, and Marty, when you're a coach, I think a trait, you always get asked in interviews, what do you see as your strongest trait? And when I'm asked that, I say adaptability, because I learned at an early age how to adapt when things change quickly. And it is, and I think that's something that God blessed me with, and God's allowed me to have as an adult, because when things changed as an adult, it was nothing new to me. Um, and and I think, Brian, you've gone through that too. I think your adaptability has been tremendous because you went from Brookstone to Calvary, and you were pretty stable in both of those places. And then the last few years, you were over at Southern, and now you're at Community with a relatively short amount of time, but you've been able to adapt in both of those. And I know the the especially the last part of the time you were at Southern wasn't very comfortable. And it was a lot of, sometimes you sit there and you go like, what the heck is going on? Where did this come from? And then all of a sudden that door opens and you're in a new environment and you see, okay, this was kind of meant to be. And now you're seeing down the line a little bit from your contact with those guys that you had an influence on why you were there, those 2 years, and it's easier to figure out. And it's been that way with me. When my career at Columbus State ended after 16 years, I had no idea what was going to happen. No idea where I was going to go. No idea what I was going to do. But I tell you, I've been so blessed in those years since then to be able to adapt into the walk that God put me on. And I think it's a blessing to be able to learn that. Sometimes it's not hard, and sometimes we do it kicking and screaming. But I think it's important to know that if it happens, it didn't just happen because somebody don't like you. It didn't happen because you did a whole bunch of stuff wrong. This is not happening because of some big mistake you made or something like that. You gotta kind of widen your vision a little bit and say, you know what, God's got a plan in all of this. I need to be looking for that instead of sitting in the corner with my lips poked out saying, woe is me, woe is me. And I think if you learn how to do that, then your ability to adapt to a new situation and to be open to a new situation is a whole lot easier. Tell me if you agree or disagree with some of that.
No, I agree 100% with that. And I can tell you, like with me, I don't know if you'd say this is a strength or I mean, hopefully it's a strength, but I'm loyal to a fault. I will sit there. I am 100%. If I'm doing something, I'm 100% loyal to it, and I will stay forever. Like that's not my MO to try and jump around like that. If I'm at your school, I am loyal to you, and you got me for as long as you want me. Man, that's just how I am. So it's one of those, like, I would stay at Calvary till I retire. I would stay at Southern Academy until I retire. So I mean, it's going to take God doing something to move me. It's going to take putting me in a situation or whatever it is, conflict that goes on that school wants to make a change. That's the only way I'm going to leave. It's not going to be because I'm looking to improve my career or anything like that. Like, if I'm here, I'm here. And it's going to take, like I say, an act of God to get me to move. And that's what's happened twice now in my career. It took an act of God to move me to another location. And in doing so, I mean, I can't say how proud I am of my kids right now, just how, like, I keep saying the word thriving, but just how well they are doing right now. It was hard because, I mean, they were at Calvary they started when they were 3 years old up until we left. So that was the first time that they'd ever had to change schools. My daughter was going to be a freshman that year. Larry was going into middle school. Ron was still in elementary school. And we made the move out to West Alabama. And it's one of those, like, I didn't really know, because growing up, we didn't move. Like, I was born and raised in Columbus, went to high school in Columbus, got my first job in Columbus. Like, that was home for me. I wasn't used to moving. So I didn't know how it really impacted them. And, like, I was all into Southern Academy. I was there all the time. And I didn't realize how much my kids were kind of struggling a little bit, being 4 hours away from all their friends, being 4 hours away from their grandparents, being away from everybody. We're kind of like isolated out there by ourselves. And I didn't really see the toll that it was taking on them. And it's one of the, like, yeah, I would have stayed out there at Southern Academy, but things happened for a reason. And I really believe the reason is to get my children back toward their family, back toward their friends here back in Georgia. And like I said, I wouldn't have left unless something had happened, that God had done something for me to come back here to Georgia. And he opened up a door immediately. It's one of those, like, really, my kids came down and said, Dad, is there any way we could ever move back to Georgia? We want to. And I make one phone call to Greg Dickens, a great friend of mine, who's now the leader of the president of GAPS Athletic Association. And he says, Brian, there's an opening at Community Christian right now. They're looking for an athletic director. And I was like, really? He kind of told me, so they're kind of struggling athletically right now, but they're looking for somebody to kind of start all their programs. And I called, I applied, and really within 2 weeks, I came up and interviewed, came back 3 days later for a second interview, and they offered me a job right there on the spot. So it was another one of those, like, God just put everything right there in a row very, very quickly for us to be able to move back here to Georgia. And I can't say how happy the three children are right now. It was great for Leanne this year because, I mean, she's a junior in high school, but she was able to drive down to Calvary and watch my nephew Nate at Calvary play football this year. Got to watch one of his games. She got to watch a couple of his baseball games. And that's just to see the smile on her face, to be able to go watch her cousin be able to play a senior year of sports. And that's not something we'd been able to do if we were out in West Alabama again. And to all of her friends at Calvary, she was going to go watch musicals and things like that. So it's just seeing their energy go back to who they are has been, you can't put a price tag on that this year. But again, it sometimes it takes an act of God to move you in another place, and you don't understand why something's going on. But when you're sitting there looking back at it, you're like, that's exactly why. And it was all God in that.
Sometimes what the devil, the enemy intended for bad, turns out to be good, you know. And in your life, that sure did come out. You landed on top, Brian, and we couldn't be prouder. And tell me this: what do you think through this you learned? What's maybe the hard lesson that you learned through all this? Maybe there's more than one.
No, I mean, the hardest thing is that I'm not in control. It's one of those. I have a plan, and this is what I'm anticipating is going to be happening, and this is what I want to see done. And a lot of that does happen, but then God says, this is the plan I have for you. And a lot of times it's you're trying to find that balance of, not balance, but I mean, God, he's always in control. You always want to trust him, but trying to do what you want to do, but also doing what God wants you to do, and finding that balance in your life of following him in all that you do. And I mean, that's the biggest thing I've learned in this. And like I said, I was blessed being out there in West Alabama, been blessed being here at Community. I was blessed when I was at Calvary. I was blessed when I was at Brookstone. I mean, everywhere I've been, and just sitting there seeing, like, just looking back and saying, just praise God. I mean, that's all I can do each and every day, and trying to do what he's asked me to do. I know God created me for a reason. He created me to make disciples for him. And thankfully I get to do it through athletics. I get to do it through sports. So I get the love that I have for sports, love I have for Jesus, and get to work with young men and ladies and get to make disciples for him on a daily basis. But the hardest part is putting self behind and putting him first. And that's a lesson I've really learned a whole lot over the last couple of years.
Hey, Brian, I teach this course at Shorter, coaching, introduction to coaching. And my opening line every year is a lesson that I still haven't learned, but I'm trying to teach to everyone else. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be a servant leader coach, the first thing is you got to bury your ego.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, unfortunately, in coaching, a lot of coach thing is all about them and putting themselves first. And wins are great. Wins are going to happen. Losses are going to happen. And a lot of times it's good for your team to lose, because you learn a whole lot when losses happen, and it makes you stronger going through those things. But absolutely, I agree 100% with that.
It's also the hardest thing in the world to do, isn't it? I really believe the biggest enemy personally that I have is me. I give the devil a lot of credit, but I think my biggest enemy is a guy staring back in the mirror at me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It is, you know what you want to do, and you get comfortable doing what you're doing, and that ego, that guy that you look at in the mirror is like, you got this, you're going to do that. You're where you need to be. But there's this other voice, that may be telling you, I got this opportunity over here that I'd like to see you be a part of. And everything happens. Fear. You're scared that you're not good enough to be in that position. If something comes along and you've got an opportunity to talk about it, you're afraid you can't do it. You're afraid you're not going to be able to make a living doing it, doing whatever it is. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of what other people are going to think of you. You're afraid your wife is going to be upset with you. Your family's going to be upset with you. And all of those things play in. And so you start fighting that, and you stay and you hang on, and you're white knuckled doing what you think you're supposed to be doing, until finally God just rips that steering wheel out of your hands and says, look, I need you over here. And I'm going to take you over here the way I want to. And sometimes he may not take you over here right away. It may be a year or 2 or 3 before he takes you over here, and he puts you in a couple of other places until he gets you to where he wants you. And a lot of times, if you had listened in the beginning, you might have already been there, and you might have not had to go through some of those trials. But that happens so much with coaches. And Brian, you said something a while ago about being loyal to a fault, and I'm the same way. When I was at my last coaching job in Alabama in the 90s, which seems like such a short time ago to me, but it was really a long time ago. I mean, we're talking 30 years now. Unbelievable. But I had no intention of going anywhere. I thought I was in the job like you, Brian. I thought I was in the job I was going to retire in. I was in a nice school. I was in a great community. All my family was close by. it was really pretty cool. Uh, and then my wife got her second degree, and started interviewing for jobs. And she gets hired by a company that was based 15 miles from our house. And I'm thinking, hey, we're cool. I'm where I'm going to be. But when they interviewed her for the job, they told her the job was in Columbus, Georgia. And so that became a discussion. And she and I had a talk early on in our marriage. And I said, listen, when she was in school, and I said, look, when you get hired somewhere, when you go to find a job, there's a good chance it may not be here. And I said, if that's the case, it's okay because you're more specialized than I am. I feel like I can get a job anywhere in doing what I do. At that time, it was coaching and teaching. And I said, I feel like I can get a job anywhere doing what I do. And so I told her, I said, it's okay if we move. And having moved several times, it was okay for me. Now, this was going to be her first move. This was her first time to be away from her parents. This was her first time to be away from the community that she grew up in, and all of that. And I just think, I think God helped build our marriage, number one, on that, because we were still, we had only been married 4 years when we moved to Columbus. And but I thought I was going to be a teacher and a coach when I moved over here. As a matter of fact, I had a second interview with Central High School in Phoenix City, um, to join their staff, and probably would have gotten offered a job when Herbert Green called me from Columbus State and said, I want you to come talk to me about this. I think we're going to be able to make it work. I had talked to him previously. And so I didn't fall into the role that I thought I was going to, but I fell into one that ended up being a 16-year career. That I learned so much about so many different aspects of everything that, it was an unbelievable blessing. In one year, I went from coaching at a 2A high school in Alabama to working at the Olympics, having a paying job at the Olympics. And if you tell me that's not God right there, I mean, how do you go from a rural high school in the woods of Tallapoosa County, and then you end up in the Olympics with a paying job in the Olympics, talking to people from NBC and all these executives, and meeting several higher ups in the International Olympic Committee, and all of this, just it was amazing. And then to have a 16-year career in the college level, which is what I wanted to do since I got out of school. I did that as a student in college after my playing career ended, and to get that kind of work and be able to do it 16 years. And then, now when that ended, it was devastating. Not gonna lie to you. When that 16-year career ended, it was a devastating couple of months for me. But then God started bringing me out of that little by little. And I got to think about this a while ago when the three of us were sitting here talking. If things didn't happen, and if we weren't able to adapt, and we weren't able to um, pick up the pieces, help us pick up the pieces and allow God to use us wherever we are, none of the three of us would be sitting here talking to each other right now.
True.
We wouldn't, Marty, you and I would have never started this podcast,
True.
because, I might never have been at Calvary. Brian, I might never have met you, period. I met you years ago, but I might never have been on the same coaching staff with you and in the same teaching team with you at the middle school at Calvary. And, all of us wouldn't have in common what we do. And I think that's something, I know I'm thankful every day for it, that we've all been able to go through what we've been able to go through. And God just keeps reloading us into a new situation. He just plugs us in where he needs us. And, it may take us a little while to get going, but, we become useful again. And I think that's what it's all about, is being willing. Sometimes sometimes you don't want to be willing, but when you finally succumb to it and say, God, I'm here, you put me here, now show me what you want me to do. And I think that's what I think that's what all of us have been able to do. I know the character of both of you guys, and I know that's exactly what you've been able to do. It ain't comfortable. Sometimes it hurts like crazy. But when you finally sit there and you say, God, I know you brought me here. I know there's something you need me to do. Show me what you want me to do. And that's when eventually you start to see how God's working and how God's been working.
Yeah.
And
You know,
it's pretty cool.
I heard Tommy Bowden talk one time about Bobby Bowden's son, and about how he moved 20 something times in his career. And the thing that stood out to me, the thing that stands out to me, one common denominator that we have, besides being really good friends, is we married well. All three of us. Great.
Yes, we did.
And Tommy Bowden said that was the secret to him. He said, my wife became a real estate agent because we sold our house 20 something times, something like that. You know? Brian, what do you, I mean, I saw on Facebook Rosie playing tennis, and she just seemed to be as happy as she could be.
Absolutely. And that was the whole time Mike was talking, that was all I was thinking about, is all three of us have spouses that guide us through these times. And I mean, all three are fantastic ladies, and I can't speak highly enough of every single one of them. But honestly, without Rosie in my life, like, I probably wouldn't be coaching right now. Because I mean, after what happened at Southern Academy, I was really debating, like, am I a coach? Do I need to be coaching anymore? Should I just go get a 9-to-5 job, be dad, and be around the house all the time, and just try to have a stable job for the family? And it was Rosie, 100%, Brian, like, you are a coach. God made you to be a coach. You need to be coaching. Even when I'm interviewing other people for the football job here, Rosie, the whole time, like, Brian, you need to be the coach. Brian, that is who you are. You need to be who God created you to be. I mean, she's just been the biggest encouragement to me and throughout my entire career. Always there celebrating the wins, comforting after losses. She's just always there. And yes, this year at Community, we restarted a tennis program they hadn't had in a while. And I was struggling trying to find a tennis coach, and Rosie had played high school tennis, and she said, Brian, I think I want to try being a coach. And girls did really well this year for learning the game of tennis. They actually won a couple of matches. It was really fun, and she just had a blast out there. So she got her first taste of being a coach, and also it was weird being around Community and seeing Coach Osborne, having the little girls here, Coach Osborne, but they're talking to Rosie instead of me. It was really fun to have that, and to see her, like, at the banquet talking about the team being up there. But so she got a kind of taste of what coaching is like. But you got to have, I mean, I hate to say it, as a coach, you got to have that support at home from your spouse. And if you have that, that can get you through anything. And Rosie, being the godly lady that she is, she is who I lean on all the time to get me through difficult times, difficult situations. And I know both of y'all are in the same boat. When y'all are going through times, you know who your rock was.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, my wife is she's really good at not only encouraging, but she's also good at telling you like it is. You know, she would, and Marty, I think yours is too. You know, I think it's one of those deals where, you know, my wife would tell me, you know, stop feeling sorry for yourself, you know, and get out there and get back in the game, and you're going to be okay. And you know, and it eventually it happened. You know, I mean, it was you know, that was kind of after my deal with Columbus State, when it took me a little while. But you know, guys, and I think both of you can agree with me, everywhere God has put us since we left where we thought we were going to be for a long time, He has taught us something new, improved us in some way, and our situation was better. Uh, and I think that's, for all three of us, that's probably the kind of the pattern that's gone on. And you look back and you're like, you know what? I thought the world had come to an end,
Mhm.
and it hadn't. God had something better on the horizon, and it's amazing what gets revealed to you when you go through the fire a little bit. When you go through that adversity, when you face up to that, and our enemy wants us to wallow in it. He wants us to get mad, and he wants us to be um, angry from here on out because he wants us to feel like something was taken away from us and something was snatched away from us, and we deserve to have that back. And so he keeps throwing that up. You should still be there. You should still be there. And all of this kind of stuff. And we have to learn to ignore that and push that down and bury it and carry on from where we are. And um, sometimes that's difficult, but at the same time, when we do, boy, do we reap the benefits.
Yeah. And one of the things, you're right, Mike, that's absolutely 100% right. Uh, and one thing, too, that in this nonprofit that we have sort of studied tangentially. It's not like it wasn't a purposeful study, but it's the information that we came across, that it's burnout. What causes coaches to leave the profession? Why do they leave? And one of the biggest things that I've learned is that what it's not. Like, coaches don't leave because of hard work. That they don't leave because they don't have but one free period, and the head of the school works their tail off. They don't leave because of the pay. They leave because they feel like they're not supported by the people in charge, like the administrators of the school. And the second reason is because they feel like parents interfere too much with outcomes. And I don't want to go down that road, but I just thought I would throw that in there. And then, but the ones who stay, the coaches who stay, are the ones who feel a call. I'm calling it a call. Some of them call it because it's my purpose, because I feel like I'm making a difference. But they see something bigger than themselves, and that's why they stay. Now, Brian, how do you think? Is that during your time, and my time was the same time yours was. We both went at the same time, and Mike did too. That's one thing we hadn't said. We all left pretty much the same time from Calgary.
Same place at about the same time. Yep.
Yeah, all at the same time. And one of the things I felt like, and I'm an old guy, and so I know that at some point in my life I won't be able to work anymore. But I still felt like I was called, and God didn't uncall me. Do you feel that same thing, Brian? That God called you, He's got to uncall you, or
No, absolutely. I just, like I said a little bit earlier, I know God called me to make disciples for Him through athletics, through sports. That is my goal. So, like when I wake up each day, put on my armor because I know Satan's going to attack. But I'm here for those young ladies and those young men that I get to impact each and every day, and know that it's eternal that we're looking for. It's not just what's going on now. We're looking for eternity. That we're trying to make sure that each one of these young men, these young ladies, knows who Jesus is, has a personal relationship with Jesus, because God made them for a purpose, and we're trying to help them find out what God made them for each and every day. And being athletic director again, I mean, I'm loving it, and I get to tell all my coaches, like, y'all aren't coaches. I call them disciple makers. I said, you're not a coach for basketball. You're a disciple maker for basketball. You're not the soccer coach. You're the soccer disciple maker out there. So, I mean, I had shirts made up for each one of them that says that they're disciple makers, so that they know what their purpose is while they're out there. Yes, they're teaching them the game of soccer, basketball, whatever, but they're there making disciples for Jesus Christ on a daily basis. That's their purpose, and trying to keep that in the forefront of what they're doing. So when I send a group email to everybody, I start off with disciple makers, and going on to what we're doing, just trying to keep that in the forefront of their mind each and every day, what their purpose is, why we're here, as we're coaching each and every day. We have a specific thing that we're supposed to do, and I believe that's what I'm called to do, and that's what I'm going to try and do every single day that I possibly can.
That's awesome, and that's so true. And Brian, I guess this is your first stint as an athletic director, and second stint as an athletic director. So what is, how do you see that role? Do you see it any different as a role when you were just the athletic director and you weren't doing some of the coaching? You actually had to step in and coach really for a lot of the year that you've been at community. But do you see any difference in the role of an athletic director and a coach that is significant?
I don't know about a change in it, but I mean, this year was a little bit different because, I mean, as athletic director, you really want to be pouring into the coaches who in turn pour into the athletes. But this year, because of some things that went on, like I ended up being the flag football head football coach, head basketball boys coach, and the head baseball coach. I ended up having to coach 3 sports this year. So it's kind of hard for me to be around the other sports. But it's my goal here is to try and hire as many other coaches as we can. And we're doing a good job of bringing in new people for next year. So I can try and be more impactful in the other sports and be around them more often. But it's the same thing as Marty said earlier. Coaches are struggling with dealing with parents, parental issues. They're really questioning, like, do I want to keep doing this? And also, it's really a psychological job when you're athletic director, trying to keep your own coaches eye on the prize, know what the goal is, know what their vision is for their sport, know what the vision is for the school, and just keeping them on that right track. And you're trying to make sure that you have everything that they need to be successful. So that's kind of what I was doing this year. But yeah, I had to kind of step in and do some other jobs. But it was good to have help, have an assistant athletic director that really helped out a whole lot this year in doing a lot of administrative work for us too, paperwork and things. So we have a good help system here at Community. So I'm very excited about that. But I'm looking forward to, hopefully once football is over with, I can really help out in the other sports this upcoming year.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, we looks like we're getting low on time here. I can't tell you how much we appreciate this, but there's a question we always ask. We sign off with this question, and Mike always asks it. So he's on deck and to ask you this question so you can hit it out of the park.
And Brian, and we're going to tailor it a little bit to what we've been talking about today. You have coaches working for you now, and you've got great friends all over the place that are coaches. And if one of them calls you or one of them comes to talk to you and they're going through a tough time because it's obvious that they're going to be leaving, or they've been told that their time at the place they are now is done, and they've got to go through this job search kind of thing, and they've got to they know change is inevitable. What's some advice you would give them, being as through your experience with this and what's going on in your life? What's some advice you would give them on taking that next step and what they need to be looking for and what they need to be keen to as they try to take that next step?
First thing is try and keep a positive attitude. It's very easy to get down when you're going through one of those situations. Stay positive, but rely on your friends. Rely on those that you know. Don't be afraid to call somebody and ask them if they know of something that might be opened up. I mean, use the network that you have to help you through these times. But again, as we've said all along, I'm just trying to remind them the whole time, God has a plan for you. I know this is not what you might be looking for. It's very difficult right now, but you've got to trust in God. You got to trust in Jesus that He's going to be with you during this time. He's going to get you through this. And I know you might hear this all the time, but it really will be good in the future if you follow Him. And if you try and do it yourself, I can't help you what's going to happen. But if you keep Jesus in the forefront, you keep following Him, you keep praying to Him on a daily basis, all the time asking for guidance, but use your network, stay positive, and God will work it out for you.
Great advice.
Yeah, great advice. I 100% agree with that. And you know, one thing maybe that I would add to that too is when you do find an opportunity, if you interview for that opportunity and you don't get it, don't let that discourage you.
Right.
Because basically that's God telling you this is not where I wanted you right now. No matter how great the interview went, and no matter how good you felt about it when you walked out of there, don't let not getting that opportunity crush you, because that's basically just God saying, look, this was a good thing. Pick up what you learned from that interview process and what you learned from that. I got somewhere else I need you to be. And, you know, and that's how you kind of take that. And it's, I know that I've been crushed a couple of times because I thought I had a new job in a really attractive situation and ended up not getting that. And you know, and it was really disappointing. And you start those questions again. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Did I mess up in the interview? And most of the time, it's not anything like that. And it's just the simple situation that this wasn't where God wanted me at this particular time. And I think that's how we have to look at it when our situation ends. You know, God needs me somewhere else. This wasn't where.
Lost you again.
There we go.
It's I don't know why my mics and my earbuds keep going out, but anyway, um, if we take that situation and allow God to move in it, God will put us where He wants us, and God will give us that opportunity, and He will help us to adapt, no matter how different it is, because sometimes that opportunity He wants us at is completely different, isn't it, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It really is, and Marty, you know that as well, no doubt about it. But um, folks, again, thanks for joining us on another episode of Step Up, Make a Difference. We are lining up guests for upcoming episodes as we go along, and we're trying to expand our reach and get out there and get some, not only coaches, but some people outside the coaching realm, and some people involved in athletics in other areas besides the actual coaching part. And we're continuing to work on that, and we'll have some announcements coming soon as to who we've been able to line up. But pray for us. I don't, Marty, I don't think I've ever asked anybody to pray for us other than maybe some of the guests that we've had on here. But pray for us and pray for this podcast, that we keep touching people with it, and that, even if one person every week or every month sees this podcast, listens to this podcast, and they are able to take something positive from it that affects their life, and works for the kingdom of God, we've done what we're being called to do, by putting this on every week. We thank all of our sponsors and everything as well.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. And
That's okay.
It's about time for some of our sponsors to, we need some new sponsors, to re-up or whatever. So if you're interested in sponsoring us, just email us at I'm marty.durden21@gmail.com, or if you have my number, just feel free to call or contact Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We could use some sponsors going into the next year. We started in June, so some of our sponsorships are running out, and we could use some more. So if you're interested, it's a great ministry, and it's growing like crazy. And we're up. Our numbers are way up now compared to what we started out with. We're affecting a lot of lives. So it would be a great way to spend your money if you're running a business and want to advertise. So, Brian, thank you so much, man. It's an honor to have you around, buddy. I love you. We've been together for a long time, and I got many more to go. So thank you, man.
Yeah, we're up to 31 years now. 1995 is when we met.
I'm only 32 years old, by the way.
Hey, and Brian, I'm gonna put in a plug for you here at Community Christian. If you are relocating to the Stockbridge area, if you live in the Stockbridge area,
Yes.
Anywhere around that area, and you're looking for a good quality Christian education for your child, check out Community Christian because their athletic director is one of the best. We believe in him, and a whole lot of other people do as well. So check out Community Christian and get in on this wave of Christian education that's going on. And God's moving through education. He's moving through every aspect of young people right now, and it's amazing. So get them involved at Community Christian. They need athletes, but they also need students. They need academians. They need volunteers. They need good parents. They need, like any other private school, they need everything. And they need a team working together, pulling in the right direction. And I'm sure Brian would be happy to talk to any of you about your child becoming a part of Community Christian. And Brian, I was going to tell you a while ago when you mentioned Leanne traveling to see her cousin, I was able to see her at a Calvary baseball game that I was broadcasting for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Able to give her a hug and talk to her for a few minutes. She looks great, and she looks happy, and that's the most important thing. And I've been watching social media and seeing the pictures of your boys and how they're growing up, and man, it's amazing. It's unbelievable to me that Leanne's about to be a senior. And that
Can't believe it either.
it's crazy. It's crazy how time flies. But again, Brian, thank you for joining us. We love you, man, and we appreciate you. And we're watching at the success you're building at Community, and we're pulling for you. We might not be able to get there and get in the stands very much, but we're pulling for you, and we're watching for your scores this coming football season for sure. So we can text you and give you a pat on the back and a thumbs up when you get those W's.
Well, I appreciate it. I love both of you guys, and I will do anything for you guys. And everybody listening, please subscribe to the podcast, help the podcast, support the podcast, help sponsor the podcast, so we can get these two men out as much as possible into the world, and all their guests that they have too. And let's just keep making disciples for Jesus.
Amen. Hey, and folks, with that, we're going to say goodbye for another week, and we'll see you again next week here on Step Up, Make a Difference. And remember, at some point, it may be tonight, it may be tomorrow, but at some point this week, God is going to give you an opportunity to step up and make a difference. Be willing, be obedient, and do that. Be willing to step up and make a difference. We'll